With all these new camera releases coming out already, why do people that wouldn't have bought the gear tend to complain the most? This has been a thing that I've been noticing on threads a lot with the people that I converse with that, do camera reviews and things of the sort, like with me on YouTube. And they've noticed a pattern of people just bluntly just going and complaining about every spec out there of every camera coming out, and as well just being basically hateful when it comes down to people creating those reviews of the videos, calling them a shill, or basically just, kisser whenever it comes down to that, because they're getting to work with the brand that, well, maybe it's good for them to build that relationship or not, or maybe they believe in the brand or not, but just start being hateful for no reason. And don't get me wrong, I understand that people don't want to be just sold on a product because they got paid to be, told to promote my camera, for this video, and then that way we can get something out of it. I totally understand that. I wouldn't want that myself either. But the purpose of a lot of the videos that I've seen whenever it comes down to those, embargo days and everything has been just to show you how the camera works. Sure, maybe some of them might have a contract that might tell them not to be able to say a lot of the negative things about the camera, but more just highlight on certain aspects of the camera. And then on the next video and so on, they get to really tell you more of the true feelings or experiences that they've had with the camera, but somehow people still just want to just hate on that matter. And I kind of have an understanding as to why people tend to hate, and most of them is because they're not getting the chance to do it themselves. That's most of the time what happens when people become hateful on this platform. It's just plain out jealousy. People that hate just cannot create in that aspect. And I've noticed that people that are doing quote unquote better than me or have, better followings of things, they don't really hate on other YouTubers' content in that aspect. They might be more constructive criticism with advice of what to do, but they don't just simply hate to hate. There's obviously sometimes a reason why they might be hateful towards another person, but I have a feeling that it's more due to personality than more just the, gear that they're reviewing. And every time that there comes with a hateful comments, whenever it comes onto new gears, I always see it from people that don't have a YouTube channel, never plan to buy the camera gear at all whatsoever, or simply they just feel like trolling, I guess. I'm not really 100% sure when it comes to that. For myself, I know I like to talk about cameras. I might say some things that I don't like, or maybe I think that it's going to be shortcomings of what they could have done better that I think would have been nice to have. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel like talking about cameras that I would have never gotten. There's just no point to me just talk trash about, let's say, the new Lumix camera just because it came out and people are saying, oh, the rolling shutter is bad, it's horrible and everything. But I did videos on my Sony a7 IV with a rolling shutter that most people didn't even notice anything about it that drastically unless you're doing something crazy. And kind of people started changing their mindset when it came down to that. They started noticing that in reality, I feel like people just want to hate on the specs sheet rather than the experience of being used with the camera. And that's something that I've even personally been working on doing when it comes down to reviewing gear, or as well just talking about gear, is showcasing my experience using it so that the product itself will be shown with my experience rather than just talking about the specs. If you watch my Only Lens reviews, most of the time the specs part, I call it the boring part, because it is just that. Something you can read on your own to know if it's gonna have the specs that you would want for yourself to invest in. But I want to show you more the experience as to who it could be for, who it could not be for, what you can do with it, and what's something of limitations when it comes down to using certain lenses in that series that I do. Same thing happens when it comes down to the cameras that I buy for myself or that I try to showcase for you guys. I just genuinely want to show you how I would use it personally so that it's more into the spectrum of showing you examples of what you can do with it so that you have actual visual representations rather than simply just hate on something and say, well, the Sony a7C Mark II can overheat because I saw it from somebody talk about it once. I've never had it overheat on me, and I've literally shot with it quite a bit. I took it with me to New York City and used it as my main B camera basically for all my videos while I was taking photos to just switch back and forth because I had it. And then I had my ZB-1 or my A7S III for more the video part. And I haven't had any issues with the overheating, but if I would have listened to people, just the one that, hate because of it, or maybe the creator that might have just been doing it for, clicks, because if they hate a certain thing, could get them more clicks, then I would have never bought any of the camera gear that I bought. The Osmo Pocket 3, I used to think it was an overrated camera just due to the fact that it didn't seem like it was that good because of some of the examples that I would see from people, because a lot of people were not willing to showcase the examples exactly, if you will. Until my friend Ben literally showed it to me with what he took footage of me. I did it for myself to kind of color grade it. That I was, it seems like it would be a reasonable camera to add with its imperfections, if you will, that I don't think are, phenomenal for certain things, but it's going to be an asset to be used for what I would need. So that's what I feel like lately with the, I guess, camera releases with the new ones, that people just seem to just hate for the, hateful part of it, because whether it's the trending thing or being a keyboard warrior or whatever, it just seems like people just don't realize that if it's not the camera for you and you weren't willing to spend money on it already, there's no point to just hate on it, to just say stupid things instead of saying like, hey, maybe in the future they could bring this and that. That's a constructive criticism that could actually help a camera brand to bring more for you. But I keep seeing people that, for example, maybe shoot Sony, complaining about the Lumix camera that came out that might not be, oh, this is stupid or whatever. And instead of just saying like, hey, you know what, I shoot Sony, cool specs, not for me, move on, that's it. Same thing with like the Nikon cameras and everything. Like, there's the memes and kind of hateful things in a sense as a joke. But then it gets to the point where people just seem to like just keep hating just to hate. And it is what it is to a certain degree, because I'm not going to change people's mindset on that end, but I can understand why they're going to, talk that way. But I guess it's just that trend that I've been noticing myself, that most people tend to just start hating on gear that they never planned to get, because whether it's, joining the group of the hate, or because maybe it's to create that algorithm that, I don't know, maybe the brands are paying people to go ahead and, build that, kind of battle and stuff like that, because there is marketing tactics like that. There is a marketing agency. I remember seeing a, kind of video on that. They talked about how they themselves would just go ahead and comment negative or positive things on people's replies just because it would fuel people's algorithm in the sense of their clients. So the perfect example is like, you have a photo of a puppy with their, let's say, dog food. Somebody goes, wow, that's a beautiful dog. And then the person would reply just out of the agency saying, no, that's an ugly dog. And then people would just start chiming in, and they just have to do that one and only thing. And it feels like that's what it's come down to a lot of the, new gear kind of videos, that people just start to hate the creator because it might be cool to hate at that moment, rather than thank them for, showing you the examples and say, not for me, but thank you for taking the time to, showcase that. A lot of those embargo videos, the creators don't even get paid. The most that they might get out of it is the trip to go check out the camera or something, where they pay them the flight and maybe the hotel. But out of that, they don't make money off of it. They're really going ahead and trying to work with sponsors that they might sponsor for their channel, or maybe doing it out of their own pocket and say, that's it. People like Ham Mackie, that he technically just went in the hole for $2,500 to showcase how the new Lumix camera went, and it was fine. But the point of how people just want to hate on the new gear just baffles me, to be honest, that I just don't really get why. I get it, not every camera is going to be for you, not camera is going to be for me either, but at least I'm picking the cameras that I want to see more of, try to find more examples of how it's used in a real life scenario, because it'll help me sell it to myself essentially, to see if I want to invest into it. That's what I've done with all my camera gear. Instead of just kind of commenting hate on the videos, I'll just say, not for me, I'll just move on. I don't even bother commenting hate on people's videos unless they're being, say a certain thing that I'm like, hey, maybe it would be this or something like that, which I don't find it as hateful, but more as like kind of putting my input into it in hopes that maybe it'll stir a conversation to see what more information I can find out when it comes down to that. But that's just my thought when it came down to this. A little bit of a rant video when it comes down to the new gear, because there's going to be a lot more new gear releases this year, and it's only, the end of February. So I know there's going to be a lot more videos to come of new gear, and people are just going to be hating on it, I guess, or complaining of some sort. And there's nothing wrong with complaining about not getting the specs that you wanted in a camera system you're planning to invest in. But if it's not something that you wanted anyway, why even bother with it? That's just, I'm curious about it. You can leave me your answer on that of why you think it's good to do it. Maybe I'll change my mind on it. I'm open-minded when it comes down to that. So go ahead, be a keyboard warrior, or give me your insight about it. And I would love to know your thought process as to why you have to hate on new camera releases, or even mainly on the creators more than anything, because they have nothing to do with what the camera has. They're just kind of showcasing it to you. So go ahead, leave a comment about your thoughts when it comes down to why do people hate when it comes down to new gear releases, and see if we maybe, have a common ground, or maybe I'll change my mind because you shine, good light into your argument and it made sense for me. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.